Hi, this is Marcos Oliveira, and this is a tutorial on basic JavaScript. And today I'm going to talk about how to use some codes to help you to troubleshooter, and at the same time showing how to, one of the basic will be variables. That's one of the most basic things in JavaScript. In order for everything that you introduce in HTML has to be use a tag. And in this case, the tag for JavaScript is called script. Some people use in style, but because the way HTML and JavaScript work, it's the best for you to place one line before the closing of a body. Why is that? Because JavaScript is going always to complement something that's inside HTML. Like, for instance, you have your slideshow. In order for the slideshow to work, you need what? Pictures, right? If the JavaScript start to work before the picture are downloaded, what's going to happen? First, it's going to try to do a slideshow with nothing. Second, is going to just lock. So that's why we put in the very end, okay? Because we make sure that everything else is downloaded before JavaScript start, okay? So here, in my case, line 18, I'm gonna add a script, and close again. And because I have already a file called script.js, I'm gonna call, because it's going to be an external file, what is recommended, because this way you can use the same script for multiple pages, okay? So it's going to be src equals, and in this case it's going to be script, my case, okay, .js. And I save, and I'm going to open the JS. And what would be the very first thing to do is to test, like I test CSS, to test if this file is actually connected, okay? So your best friend in using JavaScript is going to be a command, and this is the best word, called alert. A characteristic of a command in JavaScript is the word followed by a parenthesis. This is the characteristic of a command in JavaScript, okay? And of course, I'm going to finish this as a semicolon, and inside, between quotes, because everything that is English language should be in quotes, except if you have a word that means something. We are gonna get there, okay? So I'm gonna use the expression hello there, okay? And you're gonna see what alert this, because when I save, and when I go to, this is what alert does, okay? It's gonna give you this window, okay, with a message. And this tells me that my connection is working. Okay. Now coming back here. Now my advice is that you leave this alert and do everything that you need to do on top. Why? Because JavaScript follow from the top to the bottom. And then if something, you made a mistake, the alert is not going to work. This is a good way for you to check your work. Okay, so keep the alert in the bottom and do whatever you need to do. And the very first thing that I'm going to introduce is something called variables. What they are variables? I like to make this analogy. Think about a Excel file, empty, with cells. Every time you give a command that is going to be var, that stands for variable, the simple fact that I'm doing this tells the browser, the computer, to separate a cell. That cell is the var, okay? And I'm gonna call a name because without names, you would be lost. So let's call this num, and I'm gonna call, and the reason I'm calling, I could call number, but there is a special situation here in JavaScript. JavaScript uses some words that they call reserved words, okay? And if you, by mistake, you use one of those words, JavaScript is not gonna work, okay? So what is my solution for this? Because I speak a second language, and I use the same word that I want. For instance, instead of number, I'm gonna use numbero. That means the same thing in Portuguese. But for those that don't speak a second language, I suggest that you use and put just a 0 after. Okay, so this is my suggestion. So my variable, I'm saying, and the name should be something that means that you look and say, oh, okay, I'm putting a number inside. And I'm going to choose 17. Okay, so if I go to alert here, and look at the difference. I'm taking the hello there, and I'm not using the quote, because now number has a meaning, because you define a meaning. It's not any word. It's a word that has a meaning. In this case, a number 0. And if I put number 0, and I save, okay, and I refresh, this is what I get. So instead of give me the number 0, give me the value that is inside. So what this variable is all about? It's for you to give the computer or the browser memory. It's a temporary memory, but it is. Because if after you can write this number 0 with the value 17, do 50 lines of JavaScript, and if in the 16th, if you call number 0, the program is going to remember that number 0 is 17. Make sense? Okay, so I'm gonna do another one, another var. And this var is going to be number 1. And this one I'm gonna call 35. Okay? So I create a second variable called number 1, and I add 35. Now, instead of adding 17 and 35, I'm gonna add number 0 plus number 1. Okay, so save. Okay, and so when I add number 1 and number 0, that's what I get. So when you relate to numbers, okay, so you can do all the 4 operations. I can add number 1 and number 0 and number 1. I can multiply number 0 and number 1. I can subtract, and I can divide. Okay. Another thing that I can, so everybody's clear about it? Now,
How about if you want to display 17 and 35? Not add them.
like the four numbers together?
Yeah.
It's a good question. So the question is that what if I would have, instead of add them up, I'd like to have like 1017 and 35. Okay? It's a really good question. So I do var, and I'm gonna call num0, just to make a difference. And I'm going to put 17 in quotes, because now I'm saying this is not the number 17 anymore, it's just a shape. Because the letters are just shape for JavaScript. Okay? And this is give me a chance, a really good question, because it gave me a chance to explain how to put letters that they call string. Why they call string? Because there's a string of letters. Okay? So in num1 is going to be 3, 5 in quotes. Okay? Now, if I go here and add num0 and num1 and save, now I'm going to get it. 1735. Okay. Now you notice that. Let me make another example. So this one is clear because I'm still using numbers. Now I'm going to use var again, and this time I'm going to call name 0, not name, word 0 equals hello. Okay. And something that is very important. The semicolon, you notice that in all my lines I end with semicolons. Semicolon is the equivalent to period, to our period in our language. Okay? Why don't I use a period? Because a period has a meaning, another meaning in JavaScript. Okay? So, word 0 is hello, and I'm gonna use a student name. Word 1. Claudia, you're a chosen one.
Okay.
Claudia. Okay. And now I replace this by word 0 plus word 1. It's not going to be exactly what you expect. Okay. And let me do, because there is no space. I can do this in two ways. Okay. I can add here, or I can add a space in the middle. Okay, or I can add the space here, or the space here. Okay, in this case I put the word, the first one, plus space, plus the second one. So all the three ways work. So now when I do this, and when I now I have a space. What takes me to how you notice that I'm using plus, right? So when you use words, you don't call this addition. You call this concatenation. Now, the other question that comes, okay, if I can add words, can I subtract? No. Can you multiply? No. Can you divide? No. The only thing that you are allowed to do is concatenation using words. Now remember, in JavaScript, everything that's in English that has no meaning to JavaScript is like blah, blah, blah. It's in quotes. You can have 5, 10 sentences in quotes. And another characteristic also variables is that is one element at a time. Okay? For instance, I have here number 0. I'm sorry, number 0. Okay, 17. If I go here now and I do number 0, I don't need to use var anymore, because only when introduced for the first time that I use var. Otherwise, I would have to use var here. Okay, so, and if I do equals 28, right? What happens? JavaScript look and say, oh, you want me to delete 17 and you want to make 28. So if I go here and put number 0, okay, that was 17, now it's going to be 28. And if I go here and I click OK, now you have the new value. And with this, I finish this presentation, the short, that is intended to be a short presentation, and I will have more about JavaScript. Thank you.
If you guys want to take a look and get anything on these tables, please do. There's a lot. A lot.